entering a conversation, like in a group of friends, even that is challenging. Everyone's talking, and I'm like this car that is on the side street trying to enter the main highway and can never go in. And then once I found the spot to go in, the point has passed and I've got heaps to say. And then either I try to interrupt people to bring back the point or let the point go.
Welcome to the Focus and Chill podcast, where we discuss unconventional productivity tactics designed for neurospicy people. I interview neurodivergent guests who've figured out secrets for getting a ton of amazing work done without burning out. I'm your host, Jeremy Nagel. I'm an ADHD software developer turned startup founder and PhD candidate. I built FocusBear to help with my own productivity and burnout challenges. Welcome to episode 137 of the Focus and Chill podcast. I'm thrilled to be joined by Elaine Lee today. Elaine is a product strategist and transformation leader with over 15 years of experience driving innovation across fintech, health tech, and AI-powered SaaS platforms. She has held senior leadership roles at startups and large enterprises like Wiser, Zipco, bank, and government health districts, leading product architecture, energy, and complex transformation programs. At Evro, Elaine is CEO, leading the product and engineering function. I'm very excited to talk with you. I've been trying out Evro myself, and it's been really helpful with giving me more awareness about how I show up in meetings. So we'll talk a bit more about Evro in a bit, but keen to begin by hearing about your own story, about when you realized that you weren't neurotypical and the journey from then.
Thanks, Jeremy, for having me. I'm really excited to share my journey with you.
So when did you identify with neurodivergence?
In my late 40s, quite late. So not late 40s, early 40s, quite late. I've been in a relationship with my partner for quite a number of years. By then, my partner is a psychologist. We've had a lot of communication issues throughout nearly our entire relationship. And it was just really difficult to explain. Like, she's as neurotypical as can be, and she doesn't understand why I would say something a certain way or I don't respond a certain way. And I guess in her personal professional career, she got trained to identify what's neurodivergence a bit more, and she started to see more of that in me. And she was the one who suggested, oh, maybe you could be ADHD. That's why you can't keep your focus. You can't keep listening to me when I talk. And the way she interpreted that is a lack of interest. Yeah. So that started the whole journey. It took a few years, I suppose, discovering the different types of neurodivergence I have. Yeah.
It's lucky that your partner was able to view it through that lens rather than seeing it as you're not interested, therefore let's just not continue. I've had difficulties like that as well. My wife said to me, listen to me when we go for a walk. If we're sitting down, it seems like you don't listen. And like you said, it's not about interest, but just about challenges of sitting there and listening. What was, did you then look into it a bit more yourself in terms of ADHD and other forms of neurodivergence?
So I got diagnosed with ADHD, dyslexia, and autism. And I think there's a lot various types of communication challenges, right? So with my partner, it was a difficulty of staying in focus, difficulty in answering question and having a communication flow that is very mutual. And according to her, it's natural. The natural way of communicating is that everyone gets a chance to talk, not two people monologuing for 10 minutes each. And I guess over time, she and I, we learned how to meet in the middle. But there are a few things that resonate, that I face at work that would create a lot more pain than the difficulties communicating with my partner. And one of it is the inability to understand social cues. My career is in working with people a lot, facilitating meetings. Big groups, I've led teams of up to 80 people or more, small teams, very hands-on, always working with people, always working with lots of leaders, lots of peers across, and always having a lot of meetings. And the inability to read social cues in meetings has been detrimental to my career at some stage. Like I was trained as an engineer. I think I would have been happier being an engineer than being a people leader. That blindness meant that I have not always been very efficient and effective in picking up when people are bored or when people are aggressive towards me, like passive aggressive. I don't get it. And so it meant that I cannot navigate sensitive topics very well. Not able to respond well on the spot. If you ask me a question, and I am a multi-dimensional thinker, I've got lots of thoughts, lots of different perspectives, and that makes communicating simply and straightforwardly challenging. Entering a conversation, like in a group of friends, even that is challenging. Everyone's talking, and I'm like this car that is on the side street trying to enter the main highway and can never go in. And then once I found the spot to go in, the point has passed and I've got heaps to say. And then either I try to interrupt people to bring back the point or let the point go. So it makes it really frustrating in a friendship group, in a social, professional networking settings. Yeah, across things, yeah.
Yeah, I can really relate to that. That's a fantastic analogy with the car on the side street. I find it very difficult to, especially when there's more than about 3 people. Seems like you have to get millisecond level timing to be able to enter the conversation. And I worked in product as well, and I know about all those meetings. It's pretty challenging, especially these days when I find in a lot of the product meetings that I was on, people don't even really seem to be listening. They're on their laptop at the same time, and then it's really difficult to tell whether people are bored or what they need. It's gotten harder and harder. You were saying that you're not able to sense when people are being passive aggressive to you, and I think I'm similar. I guess in some ways that can be good in terms of it not putting you off, but is the challenge there that you might be actually touching on an emotional raw spot and not noticing that people are becoming dysregulated and knowing to back off?
Yeah. Yeah. So a story, an example of that. I was one of my direct report, a senior project manager, was getting really upset because her work was made difficult for whatever the reason. And she was complaining it to me and she was hoping that I could help her solve the problem. And as she started to complain and I started to explain how the problem could be solved, the answer wasn't what she wanted, and she became increasingly upset and, in fact, aggressive towards me to the point where I think she was shouting in the online meeting. And the shouting was so bad that my partner came into the room to see if I was okay. And what she saw was that I was patiently trying to explain my point to a person who was shouting at me, and I didn't realize that this person is really upset. I think that is a terrible example, and I have no idea. Like, I think after the fact, I would have processed it and go, "Oh, I think she was upset, and I think she was upset at me. Like, why would she be upset at me? I was trying to help her solve the problem." So that's one example. Another example would be I might be very blunt, straightforward in my communication. If you ask me how to solve something, and then I would think about it, I'll give you an answer. But during that time, I often am not able to process how you interpret that answer very well.
Mm,
Whether that answer makes you feel, or makes the audience or the person I was talking to feel in, less competent or incapable, or, like anything that might trigger them, is
mm,
really, really difficult for me to notice that. And because my brain's clicked into, oh, I just want to help you solve this problem. This is the best way, I
mm,
think, how the problem can be solved. And I cannot, for the life of me, understand what's going on emotionally for that person.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can very much relate to that. It's interesting with the point with the not noticing the shouting in terms of, I guess a lot of people with ADHD and autism have rejection sensitivity dysphoria, and that if other people are upset, that can cause people to feel disproportionately upset. Do you ever experience that, or are you relatively immune to feelings of other people disapproving?
I think it depends. I think I can be quite sensitive, empathetic if I have the time to process what's going on.
Hmm.
However, when there's not enough time to process what's going on, and I have to respond on the spot, if spontaneously somebody got, emotional in front of me, most of the time I won't be able to get it. I'll be like, oh, what's going on with you?
Hmm.
What's this about? Like, it takes a while for me to understand. I think it's mainly because the way I understand what's going on, rather than being able to lean into emotional sensitivity skills, is more pattern recognition. If you, if you become upset, I'll be like, oh, what's this? And then I need to process it and relink it to past behavior. Or in the past, you've become upset, and this is how you talk, and this is what I should say. And then I will remember how I should behave or what I should say in those kind of circumstances.
Hmm. Yeah, that similar for me. And I'm not great at doing the pattern recognition necessarily, but trying to learn frameworks like nonviolent communication and some of the DBT skills at times like that. But I often default to just wanting to solve the problem and give a technically correct answer, which isn't often what people want. What's it been like since getting the diagnosis? Have there been changes in the way you've viewed yourself and other people?
I think the ADHD diagnosis was easier to receive than the autism diagnosis. When I first got the diagnosis, I was really upset. I was like, I really don't need another DEI checkbox. Like, it's challenging enough being Asian woman, gay, ADHD. I don't need another one. And what the heck is this thing? So I have very little understanding of what it is, and my impression of it was that they struggle a lot, and it doesn't help me trying to survive this world.
Mm,
But through the time of just becoming more aware of what it is, and it's helped me greatly to understand two things. The first thing is how to communicate much better with my partner. She is now able to really understand the things that when I struggle with it, it's not because of ill intent. It's no matter how hard I try, I don't think I can ever be any better than what I've already tried because I've already put in 200%.
mm,
We can meet more in the middle. Um, she she would understand that if I need to monologue, like I have a special interest, I just can't wait to get it out of my chest. Not how she communicates. She doesn't like to be in a monologue, but now she would allow me to complete my special interest presentation. And then she would go, oh, is it time for me to talk now? There was a time where she said, I don't think you need a response from me during your presentation. Why don't you just talk to a doll? You don't need a response. But yeah, also we joke about it now, but it used to be painful. It used to be, just fight after fight because her interpretation of me is that I don't care, that I don't listen to her. I don't appreciate her input, which was true. And the second, I think this is the most impactful thing that changed me after the diagnosis is when I looked at my mom's neurodivergent behavior.
Mm,
I, it was a difficult childhood growing up with her. And when I mean, all my siblings and I have often interpreted her behavior as unloving and not present. In the past, like in our childhood, she sometimes would struggle to put food on the table. She will have massive meltdown. She wasn't at my graduation. She wasn't at any major event of my life. She often only talk about herself. It's, like all of that just translates into she's not there.
mm,
But after my diagnosis, I revisited and reviewed my mom's behavior through the lens of autism. And then that's when I started to learn the struggles that I have, that I couldn't become better at it, are the same struggles that she has, and she could not become better at it,
mm,
despite trying. And then with that lens, I think after some adulting, I started to realize actually her love language is totally different. It's not what
mm,
I expected of. It's different. She would be like her love language would be taking out her special interest toy and monologuing at you for 2 hours, not wanting to listen to your perspective.
mm,
But in her mind, that is like she is trying to offer you what she thinks like is the best thing she wants you to have. Yeah, that was a bit difficult to understand, but I think when reviewing all these past hurtful experiences and now relooking at with a lot of empathy and compassion, I realize so much time has been lost through misunderstanding, through not being aware of what this is and living in that hurt for that many years. I think yeah, there's a lot of healing coming back now, reviewing this. And I think what fundamentally changed for me is that I'm now able to see more people with more compassion and empathy. Because if I struggle with it and I tried my mightiest to overcome some of these and I couldn't, then maybe others also tried and couldn't. So the compassion I started to have for myself translated into more compassion for others. And it made me want to talk about autism more and to create more awareness so that people don't live in this, like constantly trying to interpret others as having ill intent or lack of heart, lack of love, and become defensive due to the impartial interpretation.
yeah, that's an amazing message and a great perspective. Being able to find compassion for others and also for yourself.
Mm.
And with the self-understanding, has that led to some of the challenges getting easier overall?
I think I still struggle with all of the same things I struggle with. I don't think, the difficulties in social cue sensing and coming into a conversation would ever go away. But I think that more understanding and more awareness amongst my friendship group, my social group have started. Like my relationship with my mom has improved like dramatically. And relationship with my partner has improved dramatically. It's a slow process. I got diagnosed late. I just started this journey of wanting to talk more about this, and I wanted to build a product that can help people understand this more and help people navigate this issue more. So it's a slow journey, and I'm at the start, but I'm hopeful and optimistic that like we could go somewhere and life can be easier.
And also factoring in that not all of the challenges need to be overcome, that the strengths that you bring to bear more than compensate most likely for the challenges. Do you want to talk about Evro now? You were just about to allude to it with the product that you're building. Could you tell the audience about Evro and how it helps?
Yeah, so Evro as a product name means ever growing. I
Ah,
think it comes from just my personality. I every morning I listen to random things. I like learning about random things. So I think learning is a really interesting way to fill our mind with adventure, right? So that's why ever growing. We having the heart to keep learning about ourselves, keep learning about others, keep learning about the world, deepening that and solving problems more. So the product is really about helping people communicate better. Communication is such a foundation of relationships, where relationship builds or breaks. And we live in this world where we speak the same language. You and I right now speaks English, but we come from different cultural background. There can be different religion background and different personalities, different culture, different communication styles, and that often is what causes it's a difference that causes that misunderstanding or misalignment. You don't talk the same way I expect you to talk, like vice versa. And research has shown that this kind of misalignment, what you thought you heard, what I thought you said, rarely comes from missing information, but it is that impartial interpretation I was talking about that causes that defensive misinterpretation. I didn't understand my mom. I didn't understand my partner, so I interpret it this way. So caused so much chasm between people and so much like people think in blinkers and not able to come together with greater understanding. And that's why I think my partner, my co-founder, who is a psychologist, my partner, my wife was a psychologist, through working with them helped me understand there is a lot of frameworks to help people understand each other better. And I want to build that into the product that will help people understand each other. The product Evro currently is a meeting note taker, but that's only because we feel like if we can listen in to your meetings, we can help you analyze the things that you can't see, like help me analyze the things that I can't see. Oh, passive aggressiveness is coming through, but why? Why is this coming through? So often I cannot, I don't understand that. I didn't even see it. Evro is able to, I realize AI is able to pick that up, and we code it in such a way where we try to protect this, we try to reduce bias and be objective as much as possible. So the product is in very early stage, most likely minimum unlovable stage at the moment. But the heart is big, and we're taking a lot of feedback at the moment on the direction we want to go. So new release is coming out soon.
Yeah, and I've tried it myself. I found it pretty helpful in terms of the way I've observed it is I can have it listen into a meeting and then it has nudges. And I've found some of the nudges weren't right, but there were some points where, oh, I didn't actually realize that the way that I spoke, I think it was telling me that I was trying to wrap up the meeting too quickly, which was absolutely true. I really wanted to get off that meeting and move on to my next task. And it essentially pointed out that maybe I could be a little bit more diplomatic and take 15 seconds potentially to ease out of the meeting rather than rushing people out. And that was actually really good feedback that has now slightly changed the way that I run meetings. So I'm very excited for ongoing updates to the product.
There is this story, I don't know, I think it might be interesting. So my co-founder and I, we are very different people. We're very good friends, but we're very different people. And as a result of that, we often talk in different wavelengths. Like he's trying to be fast, I'm trying to be detailed. And that's never a good combination. And so in the times that we've misunderstood each other and not being aligned and not getting through the point quickly, getting stuck, and then, spend the whole meeting in that one thing. He used Evro to figure out how do I tell Elaine this so that it doesn't get stuck. And then Evro was telling him something that he just went, oh, that doesn't make sense. Like, why would I say it that way? So he showed it to me and said, hey, Evro tell me to tell you this. Like, does it make sense to you? And then I said, I looked at it, I said, 100%. If you had said that, I would have passed. It would have been a done deal. And it was the same thing to me. We were stuck on something and I was like, I don't know how to say this to him. And then Evro suggested to start the sentence this way, which is, acknowledge the effort that he's put in, very, very appreciative. Like, I understand where you're coming from. Here are my thoughts. The prefix that comes before a solution is being suggested helps a lot of neurotypical people hear the solution and not be defensive. And when I read that suggestion, I was like, that is so inauthentic. How would that ever work? So I said it word for word, and it worked like magic. The whole point just went past, and we achieved everything we wanted to talk in that meeting. Yeah. So that is because what we put in Evro is analysis of communication style. And so what's suggested is based on understanding him and understanding me.
Yeah, that would make it very specific and much more helpful than you'd get from generic advice. It's funny with that point because I also perceive that to be inefficient, but I know it. Many people appreciate that type of communication. I just hear that and I think, oh, okay, here's something coming. Here's the shit sandwich. They're giving me the sandwich. Here's the shit coming. But I know it can be important. So when you're not working on Evro, what do you enjoy doing in your spare time?
I like hiking. I like analyzing trends and data. So my two special interests, which can be very, very interesting to people, is analyzing car trends and real estate trends. So I have a lot of data points I can share this and that, and different people come to me to ask for, oh, what do you think will happen in the next 6 and 12 months in real estate? And I was like, okay, these are all the points I can think about. Yeah. Nature, hiking, camping.
Nice. No, I was having to restrain myself from asking about car trends because I think there are some interesting things that are coming up, but I'll save that for an off the podcast conversation, and other people can also reach out to Elaine about that. But I'm keen to move on to the next area, which is about productivity tactics. What do you do to optimize your productivity?
I do my best work when I can hyper-focus. And the aim is to get into the hyper-focus mode. So I would turn off the fan, turn off all kind of white noise around me. I get really distracted by noise. I get distracted by the urge of trying to check my phone. And so I would turn on focus mode. And the focus mode actually rejects the phone calls and just take messages instead. No music, no movement in the room helps me hyper focus. I can easily get distracted. So if I start one thing, like, oh, let's just stand up and go and get a snack to eat, that will snowball into lots of distractions. So I try not to do that.
So make sure you're well hydrated and well nourished before you start your session.
Yeah. So I could stay in there. I could get a lot done if I can hyper focus.
Hmm. I've never thought about turning off the fan. That that's interesting because I guess it can be quite distracting having that type of noise. Do you find air conditioning and lighting can also be distracting for you?
Not lighting, but anything that has sound. Yeah, the downside is then I might be in a really stuffy room
Hmm.
without airflow and not realize that's the condition of the room. So one of my autism trait is that I have very so there's hypersensitivity. Mine is hyposensitivity. I don't feel those things around very well. Yeah.
And then how about in terms of dealing with communication? How do you deal with emails and phone calls? Because you've got your phone on focus mode and there's messages that inevitably after the end of the hyperfocus session, there's a lot to look at. How do you deal with that?
Oh my God, terribly, Jeremy, terribly. I think that is likely the weakest area I have. I've got more than 10,000 emails unread, more than 250 missed calls, more than 50 SMS not read. Like red dots are everywhere on in my phone. I don't think I can ever get through it. My partner helps me if I'm in a group chat. She knows that I cannot keep up with group chats. And if it's something we're in a group together and she sees that I should be responding to something, she now helps me. In the
Hmm.
past, she'll be like, "You're not responding." And then I said, "Oh, I forgot. I missed this. I didn't see this." And so now, yeah, she helps me. I'm really terrible at replying messages. The dyslexia meant that I could be typing a message with words replaced and I can't see it. I can't see the words being replaced. I read it many times and it's still wrong. Yeah. I don't have very effective solutions for that one. I hope that there is an agent that can do my cleanup for me one day, but I'm too scared to give OpenClaw permission to my emails.
Rightly so. I've heard stories about it, deleting all the emails or mass replying. Have you tried, from the dyslexia perspective, have you tried the voice to text type of solutions?
No, because my solution is not to type, not having to type much.
Hmm.
I think that typing helps me process. So if it's an important message, I want to reply slowly by typing rather than by talking,
Hmm.
because that speed helps me make sure that I say the right thing. And my method of that is just make sure that I revisit and never send important messages, emails, messages quickly. Like anything I send in a rush is 10% of the result.
Hmm.
So I make that a rule, just like that rule where people have when you're angry, don't send email. When you're annoyed, don't say anything. Try to implement this. Yeah, don't send anything out in a hurry.
Yeah, it makes me think maybe I should find a way that has more friction to reply to messages or emails because I can type very quickly. And that's to my detriment often because then it's the 10% result situation. And then last question in this area is, do you find any common productivity wisdom that doesn't actually work for you?
Does work or doesn't work?
Does not work.
Or does not work? I think that a lot of productivity tips don't work. One of the thing that doesn't work for me is time boxing tasks and switching tasks. So for me, I could do like I've got 150 tabs open. I could do few things at the same time. I could do research, prototyping. I could do strategy thinking and drafting my email almost at the same time slicing. But if the tip is do email for 5 minutes, do prototyping for 5 minutes, it's hugely dissatisfying for me because then I have to stop after the 5 minutes before I finish anything. And yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah, I've heard it said that there are two types of people. One category of people does well with time boxing, and the other category really finds it very challenging, and that if a task is incomplete, that's very painful. It sounds like you're in the second category, that working to completion is better.
Yeah.
How do you find it in terms of when you've got those very different types of thinking, like say prototyping is very detail oriented and then strategy is higher level? Does your brain just naturally able to go from way down to way up? Is it because they're linked that as you're doing the prototype, you realize, oh, I actually need to change the strategy based on an insight you had from the design?
Yeah. It doesn't sit in a different level in my brain.
Hmm.
The same thing and almost the same thing. So I think about them in parallel. And if I let go of this thought, maybe it doesn't come back. So I have to quickly make sure that it's captured.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's
And
partly about when you have a thought as you're doing something else, you're finding the right location to put that thought down.
yeah. And these days, if you're doing vibe coding and you're doing prototyping with AI, it needs time to think.
Yeah.
And it needs to, yeah, you get your 30 seconds. And I can't
Mm.
sit there and just wait for it to answer in 30 seconds. So, that's great time to think about something else or do something else.
Yeah, in some ways, I think vibe coding has been bad for my ability to hyper focus, because then I'm waiting for things to complete. And what else am I meant to do? I'm trying to figure out, is it possible for me to stay in the same thinking zone? Because I tend to do better. I tend to lose my overall track of where I'm going if I switch domains completely. But I still haven't mastered that. I think there might be something around me planning out the next task that I'm going to do after the agent returns from its thinking. Well, on that note of having 30-second breaks while waiting for vibe coding, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with you shortly. The Focus and Chill podcast is brought to you by Focus Bear, a focus enhancement app for ADHDers. Staying on top of tasks is easier than ever with Focus Bear's new To-Dos feature. Record a voice note describing what you need to do, and Focus Bear's AI will turn it into a structured set of subtasks and automatically prioritize it for you. You can also take a photo of the paper to-do list, and the AI will work its magic. I'd love for you to try it. You can jump onto focusbear.io or just Google Focus Bear and try it out. Let me know what you think. All right, back from the break. I've had my water. We've let the vibe coding agent complete its task. So I'm keen to now ask about your morning, what you do in the morning to set yourself up for the day.
To be like I know that different people have their morning routine to set themselves up for the day, but my morning routine is really random. So I listen to random things. It could be news, it could be history, it could be market trends analysis by this analyst or that analyst. And they function like the people watching sort of effect for me. It helps me create, it grounds me to what's going on in the world and where I am in the constellation. That's what the random type of information does in my brain. And then my meeting starts at 9. I would have planned for that meeting the night before, some nights, some days ago. And so I don't think about the meeting until 9. And I just go, oh, okay. So I think it's mostly because it's constantly being thought of already and the plan's already in my mind, oh, this is how I'm going to approach this way
Mm.
before the morning. But have I slipped and rocked up to a meeting unprepared? Yes, I have. The tremendous supernatural masking skill I acquired in my life. There is a formula on how I try to wing conversations. Never good. But yeah, there are sometimes I slipped and I go, oh, I forgot this and I didn't prepare for this meeting. Bugger. Next time do better. So next time make sure I check my calendar and not miss that meeting. Morning would be, if I don't start the day with just doing a stock take of what's going on in the last 24 hours or last period of time, and go straight into preparing for the meeting or preparing for the day's work, it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Mm. Yeah, that sounds important to set yourself up so you are feeling comfortable and connected. And you also were speaking about, I guess, preparing days before or the night before, which I also find really important. What else do you do in the evening to not only prepare for the next day, but to switch off in the evening?
Switch off. Switching off requires a discipline for me. Uh,
Mm,
Meditation has been an enormous help. One of the problem I have is, I struggle with switching off. If I have a problem that I couldn't solve or if I can't finish solving before the night ends, there is a tendency of me going into the night and still thinking about it and finding it really difficult to peel away from it, to the point where I would get up at 2 a.m. and start working. And what I've learned is, as I age, I can no longer do that. Like, that little activity would put me off the whole week from a physical
mm,
perspective. I'll be like totally exhausted for the rest of the week. So having experienced the exhaustion, I know that, oh, I shouldn't do this. This is bad, even if my brain wants it. So I'll try to do meditation in bed, count the lamps until
mm,
I fall asleep by force, basically.
mm,
Or meditate and not watch news. Yeah. And not watch all these things that actually stimulates my brain. All the things I watch in the morning, don't do that at night.
That's actually really clever because you probably got better ability to stop and not go into doom scrolling mode, but to be able to observe and get the connection with the wider world and be part of the constellation and then say that's enough and move on. Whereas in the evening, it's probably harder to have the cutoff.
Yeah. Evening, it keeps my brain thinking, even if I'm just sitting there watching TV. So when I watch TV, I still think it's like the two things happening at the same time.
Mm, yeah. It's been really wonderful getting to learn more about you and to hear more about Evro. If people would like to try out Evro, and I think you undersold it, it is helpful in its current form and it's rapidly evolving. So if you're someone who wants help with communicating better in meetings and having more self-awareness, then definitely jump onto the website, which is evro.ai.
Yes.
And then if you want to connect with Elaine, where's the best place for people to connect with you, Elaine?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm not very active in socials like Instagram or anything. LinkedIn's the best place to find me.
Great. Do you have any final words or asks for the audience?
I hope that it's been helpful listening to my story, and thank you. It's such an honor to be in your program, Jeremy. I hope that we could all be more compassionate and towards each other and have more empathy. Everyone is different. It's not always easy to relate. Always easier to find someone you can vibe with, and but I think the world is a better place when we can help each other meet in the middle. But otherwise, Follow Evro for more updates. Help us build an awesome product. I would love anyone's feedback, ideas, and yeah, so that's the mission. And if you want to join me and build the product together, please reach out to me anytime.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Elaine. We'll wrap the show with that. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Focus and Chill podcast. To listen to other episodes, jump onto podcast.focusbear.io. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, or you know someone who'd be a good fit, email us at team@focusbear.io. Otherwise, stay focused, stay chilled, and peace out.